kind of work for about 30 years. And what I've discovered is while I've been doing contemplative prayer for decades, there are some days where that's not the type of prayer that I need. And it's harder to drop down into that silence because of maybe something going on in my life. So having a way to do walking meditation or a way to draw and do meditation, having different tools is really important for me. And so we thought maybe it would be fun for you to have some different things to do. So today's an experiment. I want to introduce you to drumming as a tool in your prayer chest, but you may love it, you may not, who knows? So we're just going to keep open and curious minds is what I'll ask you for today. To begin with, let's think about how and why we seek silence, right? So all of you show up here every week. I'm so impressed with this group that you have that kind of loyalty and dedication to this work. And I'm curious why you all show up. So if you think about, maybe just take a second to think about why you come to this group. Maybe you're seeking the divine and you want to connect with it and you enjoy doing that with other people. There's a different sense of connection when you're with other people in silence. Maybe this space gives you a different perspective on your life, or it helps you quiet your mind. I think we all can get so wrapped up in the experience of being human that we sometimes forget our deepest identity, right? That's why I do this work. I believe we each have a deep, deep identity that connects us to God as you understand God, to your deepest spirit and your deepest soul, that part of you that never changes, that can't be hurt, but that we often forget about or lose touch with. So just to kind of set it, the reason that you show up to do this work, I want to assure you that drumming is also interested in that deep silence and in that deep, deep quiet. So drumming is really good for having a different need for maybe a time where you're having a rough day and regular contemplative prayer isn't working. It also can be a really good thing to share with some of your friends, perhaps, who know you do this kind of work and can't do it themselves. And you could say, here's another way to try it. So you might want to share this with some of your friends if you enjoy it. So a little bit about drumming. If you think about it, most of us probably know this if we think about it, that most cultures across time and space have a drum, right? So humans have been making rhythm for thousands and thousands of years. The oldest drums were probably about 5,000 BC, so 7,000 years ago, probably in India and China. They were probably made out of hollowed out trees with a crocodile skin or a fish skin draped over them and played with the hands. For those of you who are Christian, we have Miriam in the Bible. After they crossed the Red Sea, she's shaking a tambourine as they sing and dance. I guess a tambourine's not technically a drum, it's drum adjacent. So, but there was that need for percussion from a long, long, long time ago. And there's even ancient cave art that show tiny little people with drums and shields on a wall in a cave in the island of Kisar from about 3,500 BC. So all of this to say that drums were made from nature, seem to be something that people are really interested in and are kind of a part of nature, right? So if you also think about who we are as humans and where we live, nature has a rhythm to it. So we have the changing of the seasons. We're going into a new season of fall. We're going to find that next rhythm that comes, and that continues throughout our lives. We have the rhythms of the moon. We have the rhythms of the tides going in and out. There's all kinds of rhythms in the world. And if you think about your heartbeat, it's also this steady rhythm that stays with you. Your breathing is a steady rhythm that stays with you. When you're a child, if any of you have grandkids or children, you know that they will take out a pot and a pan and a stick and hit things, right? People inherently make rhythm wherever we go, it seems like. So we're all connected to this planet, and we're all connected to nature, and we're all connected to rhythms. And I think remembering that helps us remember we're part of this greater whole, this thing that is so much bigger than ourselves, that when we get connected to that, it calms our spirit and quietens our mind. And so that's what the goal of drumming is to, it's just like contemplative prayer, to quiet your spirit, to connect you to something larger, and maybe to do it with a little bit of playfulness, a little bit of fun. So this is what we're going to be experiencing today. We're going to do drumming as a form of prayer. So I'm going to play the drum for 5 minutes before we go into your normal 20 minutes of silence, and I'll drum at the end to pull us back out of it. And this is what I kind of want to prepare you for, to think about how you're going to experience this. So some of you may not like it. It may not be your thing, and that's just fine. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I've never had anybody come up and tell me they hated it. Maybe they were just being nice to me. It's always possible. But people seem to generally enjoy drumming as a form of prayer. Bottom line, most people find it relaxing. So I hope that you will enjoy it and find it relaxing. Some people say when they close their eyes and they listen to prayer, to the drum this way, that they start to see some colors. So who knows? You may experience a little bit of visual, interesting things going on. That's a possibility. For those of you who have been doing contemplative prayer for a long time, I think drumming helps us drop into that deeper space, that quieter space in our mind more quickly. If you've ever been out to the house of prayer, you know that that space can help you drop into that silence more quickly. So I think drumming can work on us in a similar way. And some of you possibly may even drop into a little bit of a dream state. Like when you're just falling asleep or just waking up, it's possible that you might have kind of a waking dream or vision. I personally believe that the divine speaks to us through our dreams. I think this is deeply biblical for those of you who are Christian. It's found in other faith traditions as well, that there is something out there in the world that is for us and that wants to bring us into wholeness and healing. And I think dreams can do that. And I think drumming can invite that same connection to that dream space and that dream maker who is for you and who wants to give you good gifts. So that's kind of the overview of drumming and thinking about connecting to this deeper history of drums. Let me tell you what's actually maybe a few little tips before we get started. What I would encourage you to do is get comfortable. Now, you're all here for contemplative prayer, so you're all probably pretty comfortable already. Drumming also works really well when you're lying down on your back. So if you wanted to lay back on your back, you could. That would be one possibility. Or if you try this later at home with a recording, there's lots of them out there on the internet. You might want to try it in your bed, lying down. So it may or may not work for you. You can be curious, just open. It's only going to last 5 minutes, so if you hate it, it'll be over soon. But then I'll tell you one other trick for those of you who do like contemplative prayer, guided meditations. Some of you may want to try to visualize as we're doing the drumming. And there's some tricks from some master drummers that I've read that seem to work in my years of working with groups. This seems to be a good trick for visualization. Since we're talking about going deep into our souls and trying to connect with the divine deep in our souls, it's almost like going into our subconscious or our unconscious mind, the mind that's harder to access when we're thinking and awake all of the time. So some drummers say, think about your favorite spot that goes into the earth. So maybe it's a cave that you've been into. Maybe it's a stump in your backyard that has a hollowed out part. Maybe a fox or a snake has built a burrow or a rabbit in your backyard that you can see. So think about an opening into the earth and imagining going down into it, like you're going down into your soul. And there might even be kind of a visual of a tunnel that you're going into. And if you relax and go into that, you may be able to visualize a dream more quickly. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's a fun thing to maybe experiment with and try. couple of things you could do. You could set an intention for this drumming visualization of something in your soul that you're disconnected from that you would like to try to go find. Maybe it's your joy. Maybe it's a sense of curiosity, a sense of innocence or wonder. Maybe it's just peace or groundedness. So you could set a word that you want to carry with you into this drumming. That would be one way to help your visualization if you're interested in doing that. Some people meet animals or see friends or encounter an image of the divine just like you would in a dream. So just be open and playful about whatever you might see. Who knows what you're going to find? You may not find anything. You may just feel relaxed and deep in your contemplative prayer. But what we're attempting to do is build this communication bridge with our deepest spirit. So relax and don't try to force anything to happen, and just enjoy. And maybe you'll have a little fun today, and maybe you'll have a new tool at the end of this encounter and experience. So I'm going to play for 5 minutes, and then James is going to keep your normal 20-minute silent sit time. We want to protect that and make sure you get that, because that's why you show up here, I think, every day, every week. And at the end, then I'm going to do a callback. So I'm going to do 1 minute of drumming after the silence. I'll do it very soft, and then I'll do 3 big beats, and then I'll do some more, and then I'll do 3 big beats, and then I'll do some more drumming, and then 3 slow beats. So I'll do that 3 beats 3 times, and that gives your psyche a little like warning, like, come back, come back. We're about to go back into regular waking reality. And so to kind of get you back in the moment. Then we'll have 20 minutes to talk, and you can share if you had any experiences or what you thought. You can tell me if you hated it. I don't mind. Or you can tell me, hey, this is really cool. I loved it, and I'd like to try it some other time. Before we go into the silence or into the drumming, do you have any questions? All right, a note about my drum. This is a drum I made with my husband of one of my friends who's from Ireland. It's a pretty big drum. He made the wooden hoop, and then these are ethically sourced American bison skins. On one side, there's a male bison skin. On the other, there's a female bison skin. And I got to sew it together and tie it together. So this is kind of a neat instrument that I really enjoy, made by a real drum maker from Ireland. So I hope you enjoy it. And we'll get started. So 5 minutes of drumming, and then 20 minutes of silence, and then 1 minute of calling you back. So I would encourage you to get comfortable, turn off your video if you want, or leave it on, close your eyes, relax, enjoy, and see what the Spirit brings you.
Right, as everyone comes back from the silence, we have now time for some questions, some discussion, some sharing. Anybody has anything that they would like to share about their time in silence during and after the drumming? Feel free to unmute yourself and jump right in.
For me, that was a beautiful experience. And I felt the things around me fall away as I went deeper. And I felt that I was seeking my soul and felt very connected to God in that experience.
So good to hear that.
I love the drumming. Um, I often find it useful for me to start meditation with some sort of sound. I personally use a chime, but I love the drum. And in fact, I want to show you, I've had this for a long, long time. Can you see it? And it has a beautiful sound also. And I've really used it for decoration, but now what the heck? I may use it before meditation.
And the symbols on it are beautiful. You know, the cave paintings have
I can't hear you. Your
hmm.
is your volume?
James, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're just a little quieter. I think you're probably further from your mic than some of us.
Is that better? Okay. Yeah, and I think the I'm interested in the paintings on your drum. The cave paintings that I've seen have those same kind of ridges, it looks like, on the design that you have. So those are, it's a little blurry, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So it actually is reminiscent of some of the early cave paintings. I think you're on mute.
There's snakes.
Oh,
Center, and then we have two snakes.
how wonderful. How wonderful. In some Native American ways of seeing, the snake is the symbol for the animal that can travel into the deep unconscious. So it can go underground and it can see what we can't see. So as we're doing work on our deep inner spirit, a snake is an excellent image
Oh,
for that kind of work.
well, good. Thank you.
That brought back some memories. When I was a youngster growing up in Rapid City, we lived a few blocks away from the hill where the Native Americans would have their annual powwows, and you could hear the drums all through into the late evening. And I never really went up there to watch them because I didn't think I'd be welcome or anything. But it was you could certainly hear the sound. It carried a long way, and it's a very similar rhythm to what you use. And it just brought back that nighttime drumming sound and all those people, and it would follow with singing sometimes too. But
Thank,
thank you.
thank you. Thanks for sharing that memory with us. You know, the rhythm that I drum at is 3 to 5 beats per second, and our our heart beats at about 1 to 2 beats per second. And there's some studies, I don't, they're not all consistent, but that says if you listen to a beat for 3 to 5 beats per second for 15 minutes, that you actually have some different brain wave activity going on. I'm not a brain specialist, so I can't confirm that that actually happens. But those of you who do contemplative prayer know that your brain switches into some other gear, and this just helps it do it a little more consistently, perhaps. So, Deborah, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, can you hear me? You know how the rubric is always settle briefly, you know. The drumming just seemed to take me into that settled place more quickly. And then I think the thing that I was surprised about, I live on a busy street. And so, you know, whenever the sirens go off, because I'm also close to all the healthcare facilities in Little Rock, uh, it's like a distraction. But somehow the rhythm of the siren just kind of just added to it for the first time in my life. And then even the street, you know, the cars going by the street, you know, it's just always a constant passing of cars, and it's not always a regular rhythm, but this time it was just part of the drumming, so to speak. So anyway, it was wonderful. So thank you.
I love that, Sister Deborah. That was that's the goal, right? Is to find this rhythm of life, to be able to walk constantly with the divine or your deepest soul, however you want to define it, but to be able to not see life as annoying or distracting from that, but rather how to get and merge into that flow, which is what you did today. So thank you for sharing that.
So, Deborah, I had a similar experience because there were roofers about a block away who were starting. And normally I hate that sound, but it was part of the drumming.
That's great. Catherine.
Yes, it was a wonderful experience, and I went so I could lie down, like you said, and what I became aware of is this residual tension that I have in my body always, and I think it's related to the chaos and the tragedy of what our whole earth and all of our fellow humans are experiencing at this time. And so I was able to let go of what I haven't even been aware of. And I would love to have a way to do this maybe after lunch every day for 20 or so minutes. I think it would be tremendously helpful in the courage and to stay within the divine love for everyone who needs to have that at this time. So
thank you. That's so beautiful. And I'm noticing the picture behind your head is a rhythm and a pattern too, which is
right. Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Catherine, what you're getting at is the world can feel really chaotic, and we can be worried about people all over the world, all the wars that are going on, and sometimes that can really be the thing that our minds focus on, and we forget that our souls are safe in the divine, or safe in that thing that is bigger than all of us, or God, whatever word you use for that, and that's true for every person on the planet. Right. So even if I was in a war-torn area this morning and worried about safety, I could also have that connection, and that is available to all of us across the planet. As it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, right? That this has been going on for a long, long time. So finding a way to deeply trust that the divine really is there in good times and in terrible times, especially in terrible times, is really important. So we can hold that space for lots of folks on the planet too, as we do it. You mentioned wanting to be able to access this anytime. I'll commend to you a drummer. His name is Michael Harner. Now he drums. He's an anthropologist who looked at drumming across all kinds of first world peoples, all kinds of indigenous tribes. So he uses the word shaman. And I don't want that to scare anybody away. If you're of the, a particular faith tradition, that sounds kind of different. His understanding is that everything is united, and including all living creatures and all living beings, and that drumming connects you to that. So it's a different language, it's a different word, but but I think we can trust that he has a spirit of unity in his heart. And so he's a great drummer, and you can just go online, you Google Michael Harner drumming, and he has 15 and 30-minute recordings online that are excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Deborah.
Could you just put the name in this on the chat? I just couldn't quite get the last name. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. That's good. Thank you. Well, I can see it in my chat. Everybody else should be able to.
Harner.
Okay.
Are we wrapping up, James?
If there are any more questions, feel free to ask them.
And then I have one more closing thought before we go.
All right, then we will let you give us a closing thought, and then we will be done. Thank you.
I do think so much of life is trying to find a way to walk in this divine love. I don't know if any of y'all saw the movie The Razor's Edge with Bill Murray back in the 80s. He's on a spiritual quest. He comes across a Buddhist monk, I think it was, washing a dish in a river, and he comes up to him and he goes, "What are you doing?" And because this guy's just sitting there washing his dish all for a long time, and the man finally says, "I'm praying." And it hit me that I grew up with Paul's writing from the church to Thessalonia, saying pray unceasingly, and seeing this other person from another tradition helped inform my tradition, helped to strengthen my understanding of how we can pray unceasingly. So I think what Deborah was saying, what Elizabeth was saying, we find these different tools to be able to incorporate into all of life, so that washing dishes becomes this rhythm and this prayer, or chopping vegetables becomes a rhythm and a prayer. And we can steal tools from all different traditions, and they can help increase our own particular faith tradition, which is a lot of the work that I like to do in the Interfaith Center. So I just commend to you to listen to your heartbeat when the construction workers are driving you crazy, to listen to your breath when the sirens are going on, and to try to find ways to connect to the divine in that praying unceasingly way. My daughter taught me, when I'm trying to do this, she said, try to connect with your five senses. Try to find 5 things that you can see, and 4 things that you can hear, and 3 things that you can touch, and 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And incorporating the senses and getting into your body and hearing those rhythms. Just, there's all kinds of tools out there to do that. So I commend those to you. The whole point of this work is to become more centered people, connected to the divine, so that we can love God with all our hearts. We can love ourselves with all our heart. And then there's that last piece. We don't just do it for ourselves to have our own peace, but we do it for the entire world, so that all we encounter will be able to connect with the divine love that they find inside of us, that we do it for other people too. So in that note, I want to end with a poem from Hafiz. He's a mystic Sufi Muslim poet from the 14th century. And I just think it's a beautiful summary of how we understand ourselves in relationship to the divine, and then how that helps us to love our neighbor as ourselves. So this is the poem from Hafiz. If God invited you to a party, if God invited you to a party and said, everyone in the ballroom tonight will be my special guest. Everyone in the ballroom tonight will be my special guest. How would you then treat them when you arrived? When you arrived. Indeed, indeed. And I know there is no one in this world. There is no one in this world who is not upon God's jeweled dance floor. I know there is no one in this world who is not upon God's jeweled dance floor. Amen. Hope y'all enjoy finding your rhythm today.
Thank you very much, Patricia. That was fantastic. I know we all enjoyed it. We're leaving with new tools for prayer and meditation. So thank you for that. Also, I want to remind everybody here